Welcome to Culture Couch Live. Carly and Murph, how are you?
Hi, Rosie.
Paul, how are you?
Now, I'm not going to introduce our next guest because Murph, I think you've graduated on the Culture Couch, so I'm going to leave it to you. But it's exciting. We've had Mel and James the last couple of weeks, and we've got our newest Performance by Design member who's joining us as well. So Murph, with that, I'll hand over to you and you can introduce Adam for us.
Great. So thanks, Paul, and welcome, Adam. Adam Lang, lovely to have you on the Culture Couch, and lovely to have you on board, mate. It's fantastic.
I'm really pleased to be here.
Adam and I have known each other for over 10 years. We've worked together. Cameron Ling, who was doing some football commentary at 3AW at the time, introduced Adam and I, and we went out and had dinner one evening and have had a great professional and personal relationship since then. At that point, Adam was the MD of Fairfax Radio Network. Did I get that right, Adam?
You did.
You're fantastic. And then you went on to become CEO of Macquarie Media Limited, and that's correct. And then when Channel 9 took over Macquarie Media, you decided to move on and set up your own podcast, which is now, I believe, Australia's most popular business podcast, called Fear and Greed. Is that correct?
Yes, that is also correct.
Right. This is a very illustrious career we've got here, Rizzy. So now, Adam is, because of our close association and working together, we've been having ongoing conversations for a long time, and Adam's got a passion for coaching. And so Adam has been doing some work with us, with some of our clients, and has agreed to come on board. Have we got the drum roll, Carly?
Yeah. Got it.
Has agreed to come on board to set up the official PBD Coaching Division and work with you, Rizzy, as our head coach, and Adam, who's going to head up that whole division. And so we're so excited, mate, to have you on board. Like your career it speaks for itself. And so to have someone of your caliber come on board with such passion for developing people and coaching and improving business is just, to be honest, it's beyond our wildest dreams. So thank you for agreeing to come and join us. And I'll hand over to you perhaps to tell us a little bit about your career and probably why coaching and why you're so passionate about it.
Sure. So thank you. It's a very warm introduction and I'm very pleased to be here. So I am 53 years of age. And so I've managed to work for quite a while. I've done a bunch of different things from the music business to television and radio. And I'm pleased that I was able to do well within those. And I think if I look back from my professional history through even back to school, university, or the influences I've had in my life, sport, education, I've been incredibly lucky. So in that period of time, I've had the benefit of learning from so many people, and I know what a profound difference it has made to me in terms of making me a better person, my life better, more capable to be able to achieve more. And so coaching, if I look back on it, is probably been a theme. I've been the beneficiary of it for a long time. And when we talked about working together, Jared, I thought it was a bit unexpected, but I was really drawn to it. And in the 6 months plus that we've been working together now, I've really loved it. I think it's so rewarding. It's incredibly hard. It's incredibly challenging, appropriately. And it's also incredibly rewarding. So I guess to summarize it or to synthesize it down to what coaching does, I think the most important difference that I've seen it do for me, and hopefully that I can do with others, is to transform someone from being great at a particular job to being great at working amongst and leading a team. There's so much to learn that you just don't get to see through role modeling. You might chance upon it, you might get lucky, and you might not. But to summarize all of that into a system of learning and some guidance that it can help you get there really quickly and really effectively, from an outsider's perspective, I think is, as I said, so challenging and so rewarding. So in short, thank you. And I'm very delighted to be here.
Great.
Adam, it's a good story because it's a little bit similar to mine, like going through footy. And I suspect for Murph and Carly as well, you tend to just pick up things ad hoc a bit. And I guess the beauty of being in the footy industry, you do have a lot of really... I read Jeff Politis, who was the CEO of Ford, sitting in the coach's box taking notes. And I'm like, this is ridiculous, So you're able to tap in, I guess, through your network. But I suppose my first question is, formally, when did you recognise that you didn't know a lot about leadership? Because there was a point where I was the same, and I wrote down the 25 points when I finished in 1998. And when I said that, I meant I didn't really know much about it, but I picked a lot up on the way. Was there a point where you were the same to saying, I think I know about it, but I've never really sat down and thought about it and actively learnt about it?
So I've always been a keen student, read a bunch, and I think I was lucky, really, to work with some great people at particularly important times. So working at a company called Austereo at the time, Southern Cross Austereo, an excellent CEO by the name of Michael Anderson. He had run the sales department, been very successful, and run the whole business. And he was a real believer in leadership as a discipline, quite apart from just functioning in a role. And I learned that ephemerally from and with him. And I think probably where I learned even more was when that was taken away. I moved companies. I got an offer of promotion to run a different company. And that company had nothing like this culture in place. And so to be dropped in the middle of it,
Yeah, right.
I think to your question, really crystallized what I had almost assumed. It was like, this is how big companies and big teams and successful operations work. But it wasn't there. And so okay, I'm going to have to really re-evaluate. I'm going to have to appreciate what it is to learn and install a leadership system. And I think those two things are probably the biggest single ones I would call out. Was when I was with it, in amongst it, and thought this was normal. And then I was into a different environment where it really wasn't.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? You probably don't realise until it's gone, and that's a really good point. I think the thing for us too with Carly and Jez is we're getting so many more inquiries now, aren't we? And I wonder, from your point of view, Adam, why do you think that's got to do with the COVID or the pandemic? And I know you've recently transitioned into this role, but we're certainly, as a company, and that's why we're bringing you on, which, as Merv said, we're super excited about. But why do you feel like the last sort of 18 months, there's a lot of CEOs, a lot of leaders are now really reaching out for that one-on-one coaching?
So my own experience was pre-COVID, pre-pandemic. And I think, just to speak a bit about that, because I think it's relevant now, for me, as I just described, it was really that awakening to going, I need this. And I remember one of those iterations was meeting Jared and understanding his experience, and meeting him with Cameron Ling, who'd been through it, as part of the Geelong Football Club. And that really, I was so drawn to those systems and that, I guess, education. And so once I'd done that, it was like, okay, it was transformational. Bringing in performance by design at that time, 10 years ago, was absolutely transformational, not just for me, but for the whole executive team, and slowly for the company, as we could embed that in across every member of staff in the business. So I guess that awakening, and now to the current time, which is, I guess, within, and hopefully as we ebb towards post-COVID, I think a lot of people are reconsidering how they work, why they work, what they do. And so I'm seeing a speed up in the people who are considering these things, and why leadership is important. And I suppose alongside that is just digital transformation in general. Everything seems to be picking up speed, whether it's communications on social media, people talking about changing jobs, what it means to them, getting a promotion, being part of a new company, or what they're looking for. The amount of communication is faster and so much more shared. So I think a lot of people are doing essentially that, is reconsidering or awakening to what leadership is and what they want from their working life.
Do you think we hear about the Great Resignation, Adam. Do you think that people are looking for more purpose, more focus, more meaning in their life work sort of relationship, and that is a part of the coaching piece, is a part of exploring that?
I do think that's right. And I think within that looking for meaning, I think possibly through all of these influences, that we're actually looking for a deeper meaning than we thought we had permission for. And so, if you look at your own life and what you want out of it, it's not just you're born, you work, you die. It's like one shot, make the very most of it. And that should include work, because work should have meaning, and that should be congruent with who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And what you want.
And Ruzi, you're really strong on that. There's no such thing as work-life balance. It's just life balance.
I always found that term funny, Adam, that people talk about work-life balance. I find, and I guess like everyone, you sort of sit and think, what does that actually mean? And to me, it was like, well, hang on, I'm married to Tammy, and I'm still married to Tammy when I go and coach the Swans or Melbourne. I've still got 2 kids when I go into work, and when I go home, I'm still the coach of Sydney and Melbourne. I could never really understand that concept of work-life balance. To me, it's life balance is what you're talking about, is what are we looking for in life? Because we spend so much time, and I think the sooner we talk about life balance rather than work-life balance, I think we'll start to find those purpose and values and behaviours is what we constantly talk about.
But I think that's happened, Ruzi, through the pandemic, because things are blurred now. Now we're all on the screen, and you've seen my kids climbing on me all the time. So it's now more about the life rather than just segmenting it. But Adam, I just wanted to ask you, and again, I'm super excited that you're joining the team as well. Very, very excited. And I think it really fits nicely with what we do from a workshop perspective, because we frame everything from the team perspective. And that's what's so unique about the coaching program that you're putting together, is that whilst it will be a one-on-one coaching program, it's still focused on what results are we getting for the team and what does that look like for the overall structure of the business, which I think is a really great advantage for us within that space.
Absolutely. It's really, I guess, the appreciation amplified of someone's role within a team. I remember the Brisbane Lions sort of creed when they were triple premiers was know your role, accept your role, perform your role. Really simple distillation of the whole concept. But you can't presume that people know their role, or that they accept it, or that they're able to perform it. And so you have a team construct where that is inhabited, but you also need to, I guess, work on as individuals and with individuals on how they contribute to that. Even right down to the art of giving and receiving feedback. It's a skill, and it's frequently a learned skill and a practiced one. And so those sorts of things all come into coaching, but fundamentally focused on the individual, helping them achieve their purpose within the role that they perform for a team.
Yeah, great.
Sometimes that's to lead the team. Yeah. Sometimes it's not.
So, Jared, I might ask you a question if that's okay. So we have actually the thing that we get asked most about is coaching and what that looks like from all different levels, from executives down to managers, down to small business owners. But the terminology we've started to talk about is real coaching. So I guess I'm interested to ask you and then Adam about what it means to put the real in front of the coaching and how we can help to bring that out in the sessions.
Yeah, I think as we've developed performance by design, fundamentally everything comes back to, do we have real talk or honest conversations? Positive and areas for growth. I think when people hear real talk, they think it's the hard conversation, but it's actually not. It's the 4-to-1. Are we catching people doing it well? Are we rewarding it? And out of that, we our clients love the concept or the language of real talk, because for them it sums up what it should be. And then out of that, I guess we've developed, authentic is sort of, I guess it's a commonly used term, but for us, we we pride ourselves on being real and pragmatic and practical for our clients and helping them with ways to get better. And so real leadership and real coaching it sort of epitomizes how we want it to be. And I think the reason I'm so excited for Adam to be coming on board is because Adam has been through our system over many years, but I've never seen, and I know he's on the screen, so I'm not flattering you here, Adam. I've never seen anyone embrace feedback or real talk as well as you did. And I remember sitting in a room, mate, there was a lot of people in that room giving you feedback one day.
36, Joe. I remember it well.
36, and I thought, well, this is really going to be interesting to see how this goes. And Adam, he took every word on board, and then he took our system, Rizzy, and he then created this spreadsheet, which to this day I've never seen replicated, about how he was going to use the feedback he'd been given and the system we create or created with him, and how he was then going to implement it. And when companies take the work that we do and they make it their own and they drive it through their business because it's then theirs and they own it, it becomes so powerful. And I can honestly say, hand on heart, sitting here, that Adam, he would be way up there in the top 1, 2, or 3 people I've worked with that had the capacity to do that. So a long way of answering the question, Carly, but real means basically we want people to be themselves, to be authentic, to be real in the way they manage people. Not to try and be Ruzy, or not try and be Adam or Carly or Jez, but to actually be who you are and lead in your own real way. So, Adam, I was going
to ask Adam on the back of that. Was that the first time that had happened and with Murph there? And what was your initial response to that? And Murph's probably touched really well on the follow up in terms of how you were so invested in it. But how did you find that?
So it's remarkable because it's still very clear to me what happened. I can relive that almost in slow motion detail. It was that crystallized in my memory. So it is nervous because I think one of the feelings that you have is you do care, right? You do care about your own performance. You care that you matter, that you help your team. And it's good to care. Frequently it was, hey, you don't come to the office to get friends. You don't care about people. You just perform.
Yeah.
That time rightfully has long gone, and it is good to care. It's almost a necessity. And I certainly did. So there were 6 groups of 6 people who were asked to give me feedback on really the leader I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And so I wanted this. So I was nervous because I cared a lot. I really wanted it to be better. And that constructive feedback, like Jared said, that 4-to-1 ratio of positive feedback to constructive feedback, it's so precious. You don't often get it. And so I was like, ready, please, let me have it. And so I was really trying to remember everything that was being said and make it matter to me. And then later, as Jared had recommended to me, just consider it all. Don't do anything too quickly. Just consider it all and what you think you should adopt. And I did that. And it was, I guess, moving from that very sort of clear memory to me and very important session. I remember being on a plane trip later and going, I need to change the way I'm doing my whole job. Because it's not just to function in a certain set of tasks, to be a leader and do them well and see everyone, I'm doing them well. It's not that. It's really to matter and care about everyone else and their performance and making sure the bits in between the team members, as well as the team members themselves, function really well.
Yeah, it's a great point about care. I mean, it's so important. I had a coach who used to say when he got angry, I'm not here to be liked. I just want to win. I'm like, I don't even know why you bring that up. Like the action of whatever you do will determine our reaction to you. So you don't have to say you don't want to be liked or whatever. So I think it's a really good point. We could sit here for another hour, but I'm going to ask you, Carly, all right, question without notice. if you're getting coached by Adam, and I'm going to ask you the same question, Murph, so you're going to have the benefit of a little bit of think time. What would be the one thing you feel the benefit would be? Just pick one, because there's clearly going to be multiple. But what would you like Adam to pass on to you in the one-on-one coaching sessions? And I'll jump in as well, because I think it's really important to get down to a real practical sense of what we've seen Adam be able to do. But from your point of view, what would that look like? Just pick one out of the multiple things that we think are going to be good.
Well, I think the external perspective is really important. So, so much happens within a business, within your executive team, within a day, a week, a month, and it all gets a bit mismatched. And the amount of times we hear that people are so busy, they can't cope, they don't know what's happening. That perspective of the external person coming in and saying, hang on, let's just step back and have a think about it. And then giving you just those little snippets of advice that help you reset, refocus, and then know what your plan is to move forward. I think for me, and I have had executive coaching previously when I was in a managing director role, and that's what it was really beneficial, was to get the tips and the tricks and those little skills that you learn along the way to just take a step back, reformulate, and then be able to move forward again.
Fantastic. So, Murph, I know you've got some tradesmen in the house there.
For me, Adam's breadth of experience is quite phenomenal. And so Adam's got a huge capacity to, I think, find the spot where I would need coaching, because of his experience. And I think we haven't touched on it, but there's a fascinating part of your job, Adam, where you were in charge of radio networks, where you had big egos, and so you had to manage some of the biggest and highest profile people in the country. And so your capacity to be able to manage and work with those and get the best out of them, I think that's almost sport-like. It's almost EPL-like, to be honest, where you've got these really big. So I think that, and I always love, Adam, your pragmatic approach to your calendar. I serious, just too many of us, too many leaders get caught in doing the job, and they forget about, as you said earlier, supporting their team, but they also get caught in stupid meetings or their calendars disorganized. So I think I've given you a few points there, Ruzi, but I think Adam's experience, his capacity to manage huge egos, his focus on calendar, and then, as I said earlier, his absolute curiosity to get better for knowledge. Like, again, you don't hear many CEOs say, yeah, okay, I'm just going to think about that. And then, the next day sitting on a plane deciding I'm going to change. Like, it doesn't happen that often. So, yeah, I think he's got plenty to offer.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think for me, Adam, it's probably the art of not doing, because I think leaders often have to not do stuff and they have to let other people do it. And I think that's probably the one thing that I see coming from football. And even if you would have seen it, even the first time football coach does everything from putting the cones out because he doesn't like where the cone was put down, and he yells at the boot stutter because their boots weren't out there quick enough. And then all of a sudden, second time around, and I reflect on my time, Sydney versus Melbourne. Sydney was doing, but I was lucky because I had Andrew Ireland as a really experienced, wise head, which was great. But Melbourne was a lot about not doing it. And Adam, that's the biggest thing for me, is teaching leaders that they're no longer running, the whole marketing section or the whole IT section and delivering brochures or reading, whatever it is. They're actually a lot of not doing. But I'll finish up asking you finally, what would probably the one thing, if you had to pick one thing that you've found both through your journey, but probably more particularly in the last couple of years doing the one-on-one coaching, what would that be?
It's, I think to refrain your point a bit, it's around knowing the space to occupy and the space not to occupy. And they have to be clear. And so an outside perspective on that really helps. And each one of those is thoroughly unique based on the person and their skills and desires. And I think, so just that initial viewpoint. The second thing that goes along with that is typically if you are in a position where not everything is right and you have an idea about where you want it to be, coaching can get you there a lot quicker.
Yeah.
If you're willing to consider change.
Yeah.
Because that outside perspective and the systems that we have combined, applied to each unique situation, can really help you take steps to transversing that gap much quicker.
Yeah, fantastic. No, unbelievable conversation. It's fantastic to have you on board. And I think the other thing, just to wrap it up, Merv, Carly and Adam, is often the leader doesn't get the feedback, doesn't know where to turn because he's at the top of the totem pole, you know. So just that ability to have a separate set of eyes and someone coming in and calming them down, because there's so much going around in their head, I think is incredibly valuable. So, mate, fantastic. Love the last 20 minutes and really, really excited about having you on board with Performance by Design. So thanks very much, mate. And we'll obviously see a lot more of you, as we will, Carly, with you and Jared. We'll see everyone. And Murphy, you leant forward then, and the mic. Did you want to finish off? You started it. Do you want to end it as well?
I was just going to say thanks, Ruzi. This has been real. I've actually really enjoyed today. That was a good conversation. So yeah, thank you.
All right, we'll see you all next week on the Culture Couch Live. Thanks very much, everyone. See you later.